So, what if I told you that the most famous equation in all of physics might be incomplete? And what if a single, hidden variable could not only rewrite our entire understanding of the universe, but could also be the key to finally figuring out how to travel backward in time? Yeah, let's get into it. So here's our game plan, based on the source material. First, we'll look at the rules of time as we think we know them. Then, we'll hunt for a missing piece in Einstein's work. After that, we'll define a wild new concept called the velocity of darkness, use it to map out the omniverse, and then, boom, put it all together to see how time travel might actually be unlocked.
All right, first things first, the rules of time. You know, if you want to break the rules, you got to know what they are in the first place. And the biggest rule we face, well, it's also our biggest question.
I mean, this is it, right? The ultimate puzzle. We all feel time like it's a one-way street, an arrow that just shoots forward, and that's it. But the source material here suggests that maybe that's not a fundamental law. Maybe it's just a limit on how we see things and the limits of the physics we currently use.
The way the sources break it down is pretty cool. Traveling forward in time? Hey, we're doing that right now, just by moving through space, which is our fourth dimension. No problem. But going backward? Well, the theory says that requires a totally different kind of road, a journey through something it calls hyperspace. And here's the kicker. Our physics doesn't have a map for that, not even a clue where to start looking.
And that leads us right to the biggest roadblock in modern physics, and to the work of Albert Einstein. Because it turns out his most famous equation of all time might be hiding something right in plain sight.
This quote from the source is everything. Now, it's not saying Einstein was wrong, of course not. It's saying the equation works, but it's doing too much. That second c, the speed of light, isn't just a number. It's acting like a placeholder, kind of bundling up a whole bunch of hidden assumptions into one neat little package.
And this really shows you what that term epistemically overloaded means. For E equals mc squared to be perfectly 100% true, the universe would have to be this really simple, clean place. But we know it's not. It's got curved space-time, it's got black holes, it's got all sorts of quantum weirdness. The equation works by basically ignoring all that messy stuff.
So you see the problem. If we want to model the whole universe, not just the simple, observable slice of it, we need to unpack that second c. We need a brand new variable that actually accounts for all the complexity, all the horizons, and all the hidden information that Einstein's brilliant formula just had to leave on the cutting room floor. Okay, and this brings us to the absolute heart of this whole theory. Seriously, this is the key that supposedly unlocks the entire thing. So let's take a look at the proposed solution.
And there it is. The source material suggests we reframe the equation. It's not E equals mc squared anymore, it's E equals mcd. That second c is gone, replaced by this new variable d.
So, what on earth is d? Well, it's not just darkness, as in the absence of light. Think of it as an active, fundamental force. It's like the universe's cosmic bouncer. It's the process that puts up the velvet rope around a black hole, the force that decides which information becomes inaccessible, the thing that literally closes doors of possibility in the universe.
And what's so cool is the symmetry here. If c, the speed of light, is the force that opens everything up, what you can see, what you can affect, what you can know, then d is its perfect dance partner. It's the force that contracts all those possibilities, closing off access. You know, one opens the door and the other one closes it. Perfectly balanced.
Now this is where it gets really, really weird. On a quantum level, D is described as the mechanism that's constantly working behind the scenes. It's like the universe's dark processing power, always shuffling all the probabilities and potentials just to make sure that the reality we do observe stays consistent and stable. It's the stage manager for reality.
And here's the critical part. D doesn't operate in our normal, everyday space-time. The text says it moves through something called phase space, which is basically the realm of all possibilities that haven't happened yet. It works in imaginary time, which is a mathematical concept that helps explain spooky things like quantum entanglement, you know, where two particles seem linked no matter how far apart they are. And right there, that's our first big clue as to what hyperspace might actually be.
Okay, so we've got our new equation, E equals mcd, and we've got our key, d. Now we can finally start to read the map. Let's see how this new physics plugs into the much bigger picture of reality that the source material calls the omniverse.
So, according to these sources, our reality, this fourth dimension of time-space, it isn't the ground floor. Nope. It's actually built on top of way more fundamental layers.
It all starts at the 0th dimension, which is described as pure potential. From there, you get time as a simple line, then energy makes that line vibrate, and then quantum flux twists it all up into this complex loop. Our reality is just the very top layer of all of that. And this whole structure exists inside something called the omniverse, which is imagined as this infinite fractal tree of timelines. Every quantum event, every tiny choice you make creates a new branch, a divergence point. The omniverse contains every possible path, every single reality that ever could have been.
And that brings us to the grand finale. This is the moment where all these pieces, this bizarre equation, this new force of darkness, and this map of all reality, finally snap together to give us the answer we've been looking for.
Okay, let's connect the last few dots. We've figured out that D is the force that governs the unobserved stuff, right? It's the engine that runs on all the what-could-bes that exist before reality settles on one outcome.
And we also know from our new physics equation that this hidden realm, this place where D does all its work, has a technical name. It's called phase space. It's the mathematical space that literally contains all possible states of a system.
And there it is. That's the aha moment. Remember how we started this whole journey? We said that to go back in time, we needed a way to travel through hyperspace. And now, E equals mcd has just handed us a physical force, D, that operates in the realm of unobserved potential, which science calls phase space. They're the same thing. Hyperspace is phase space. So here's the final mechanism, laid out bare. The theory proposes that consciousness itself is the special observer that can actually tap into and use DAG. By doing that, it can navigate phase space or hyperspace, allowing it to move outside of our single forward-moving timeline. This gives it access to all those other branches in the omniverse at those divergence points, and that is the theoretical engine for backward time travel.
But this whole idea leads to a really staggering implication for our own lives, for our own choices. If consciousness is hopping between infinite timelines where every possible choice is already made, well, this source material asks us to completely rethink what free will even is.
And this is the final thought to leave you with. Think about it. If every path is already being explored somewhere in the omniverse, is the life you're living right now the one you're choosing to create in this moment? Or is it just the path that your consciousness has decided is the one worth remembering? Wild stuff.